Yes, if you read my write-up on the real causes and permanent solution to building collapse in Nigeria, I made some recommendations at the end of that paper in which I stated clearly that not only just for the Bill of Quantities to be signed, there are a number of other things that need to be done for the quantity surveyors' role to be properly recognized and utilized for the benefit of the country. And I recommended that there should be two levels of recommendation and approval for development projects. There's the one I call preliminary approval, and then the one I call the final approval. The preliminary approval should begin with, ensuring that there is a proper appointment of independent consultants for any construction projects. Skipping what is commonly prevalent in the country, what they call the all-in consultancy commissions, whereby one single entity collects all the consultancy commissions and then employ and engage quacks to the background or to the backyard. They engage the quantity surveyors, they engage the engineers, as a consultant to the backyard. And most of the time, these are quacks, and the desired standard documents that we need for proper contract administration of the projects are not, submitted by such people, either the structural engineer or the one surveyor at the gate to do this thing. There are so many examples of such disasters, So that's why I said that one of the first conditions for the preliminary approval is for the client that is procuring that project to provide evidence that all the necessary required consultant professionals, the architect, the quantity surveyor, the structural engineers in particular, these three, and of course the service engineers, have been appointed for that project. That should be the first evidence, that should be the preliminary aspect. And then the second is that's a recommend a kind of threshold that a project that exceeds certain amounts of money, let's say, from 50 million or 100 million, as the case may be, that there must be evidence that by the consultant quantity surveyor so appointed and certified to present a certified copy of the preliminary estimate to show that that project, is within that threshold. Then for the main final approval, I have this recommendation that there must be a presentation of contract bills of quantities that contains all the necessary components as I discussed during my presentation, most especially the conditions of contract, standard form of contract contained in that document, among others, and that document, the procuring entity must give evidence that that document has been signed, that contract document, with the contract sum and contract period, produced by a standard, registered and independent quantity surveyors, have been signed between the client and the contractor. That's the only thing that can guarantee that that project, will come up with a, reasonable results. And in addition to that, the procuring entity must at this point present a tender report and analysis and report, which was carried out by a consultant quantity surveyor, the independent quantity surveyor, and signed and sealed by him, indicating that this tender analysis and report was professionally done with the recommendation once you get this, and then you approve that project, then there's the chances over 90% that project can never fail. And also summed it up that all these things require legislation. That's why I submit that the quantity surveyors in Nigeria should mobilize to get a mass into Nigerian politics. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Prof.